Welcome into the Smokers Haven Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Z. I'm here with Coop and Andy.
What up?
What's up?
And today we're going to talk to you about our top 15 Dynasty running backs. Before we dive into that, though, we actually had a pretty cool opportunity yesterday where we were able to participate in a Scott Fishbowl 13 mock draft with 9 other fantasy football analysts. I say other when I mean 9 fantasy football analysts and us. It was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was.
And yeah, we're on YouTube. So you can check us out. The link's on our Twitter at Smokers Haven at 605 Token Podcast. I'll also throw a link in the show notes so you can find it there. What did you guys think about the draft experience?
I had a good time doing it. Something new. Fresh faces. That was the best thing. It was brand new people. You had no idea what they were going to do, you know?
I thought it was cool kind of meeting some different people in the industry kind of.
Seeing how they approach it. I had a blast, especially where it's just like, okay, kind of seeing how different people's strategies were and kind of seeing what they were doing and trying to watch it in real time and be like, all right, what's his next step and try to predict.
Yep.
So it was fun.
I also like when, kind of like some of us had the same opinion on most people, you know? Like how we had one guy in Canada. Like he had the same opinion on a couple of the players that, you know, that we had.
Yep. And for those of you who don't know what the Scott Fishbowl is, it's a big charity fantasy football tournament that's been going on now for 13 years. The settings for it, so you kind of know what we're talking about with this mock. It's a super flex league. You start, up to 2 quarterbacks. You got 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, and then 3 flex spots. 2
with the super flex. 2 flex and 1 super flex.
I think it's 4 flex. It's 11 players total you start. It was 4 flex, one of those being a super flex. All of those flex spots can include kickers if you want to have kickers, which is kind of interesting in this league. They get 3.3 for extra points and then decimal scoring on field goals. So whatever the yardage is, just put a decimal in there. So kickers can score a lot of points. Also, a couple other weird things in the scoring. You get quarter points per carry. You get a point per first down, except for quarterbacks. They just get I think it's 1/10 of a point per first down for passing. They obviously get the full point for rushing. And tight ends get an extra point per reception and per first down. So it's a tight end premium league.
So 2 points per tight end for a reception is just huge.
Yeah, and per first down. So Kelsey gets a 10-yard catch all of a sudden. That's 4 points. It's actually 2 for 3. That's 5 points if you count the yardage. So, yeah, which is why Kelsey went number 1 overall in the draft.
Huge advantage at that point.
That was followed by, a run of 7 quarterbacks. We had Hurts, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson, who
that's
Coop
where I
took.
I mean, just at that point, the value that was there I was surprised that Joey Burrow went as early as he did, especially with the rushing counted in. You just think of how much more Lamar and even Allen and that do actually run. Because I was originally looking like, okay, I'll get that Trevor Lawrence, maybe Joe Burrow type, because I did not think Lamar was going to fall there. Or Josh Allen coming close, too. I about shit myself when I thought that he might fall to me, but when he wasn't there, I was ecstatic to get Lamar in that situation.
Yep, and then it went Herbert, and then Andy took Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I did. I only took him because everybody took quarterbacks. And, what I wanted went right before that. It was either him or Fields. And with Ridley coming back, I like my chances with Trevor Lawrence over Fields.
Yeah. And at that point, I was really hoping Fields was going to fall to me because after 7 quarterbacks went, there wasn't much left. It went Jefferson, and then Fields went right before me at 11. So I was left with, and I kind of regret, I wish I would have taken Bijan at this point, but I took Jamar Chase. Bijan and Kupp went next, and then I took CMC. And then it went Eckler, Tyreek Hill, and then back to Andy for Jonathan Taylor in the second.
Yeah. That's in my mind my number 1 running back. So Why not take him if I can in that second round? I got my quarterback, and I'm going to get my running back.
Yeah, and then we had the second tight end with Andrews, and then when it was back to Steve there.
Yeah, and I went with Saquon just because, he's the focal point basically of that Giants offense. So it's just why not take the guy that that's going to be getting the rock probably 20 to 25 times a game. So those points add up quickly along with whatever he gets in the receiving game as well.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. With the carry points and stuff is crazy. And then we had Diggs, Deshaun Watson, Lamb.
I thought that was a little early, though, for Watson, honestly. Just
with the way quarterbacks were going, I can kind of see where they were coming from, though. I mean, just if he returns to the elite form.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they were probably expecting quarterbacks to continue going, which they did. Lamb, Brown, and Adams went. This was a third round reversal, so we went back to the people at the beginning of or end of the first round, I guess. And Amon-Ra went, and then I was left with a quarterback decision because I needed a quarterback. So I took Dak, not just because he's Cowboy. I just thought he was the best quarterback left on the board.
Then you had Garrett Wilson go, who thought that might have been a little early for him, but I can see, he's going to get the targets in that offense. So,
yeah, then it kept another quarterback went with Daniel Jones, and then Andy was on the clock.
And there I took Nick Chubb. I have high expectations for him this year. Without Kareem Hunt there, I expect him to touch the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, if he gets worked into the passing game, he could easily be a top 5 running back if they work him into the passing game. He was tearing it up last year up through the first 10 weeks or so, and then they brought Watson back and wheels fell off. So yeah, after Chubb, we had Waddle and Higgins.
And I just really like Higgins in that offense.
Yep.
So, there was a lot of tough decisions. I thought about going Jahmyr Gibbs at that point, but I decided to wait, and I was actually able to get him here coming up in a couple rounds.
Yeah, so and if you want to see the whole draft board too, we have it linked out on Twitter. It'll be in the show notes. So you can pull it up and check out the whole draft board. So we won't go through the entire thing. But we can go through the kind of our teams. And we'll just start with Coop. He had the 1-6. So like we said, he had Lamar, Barkley, Higgins.
Yeah, and ended up with Gibbs and Metcalf, D-Hop. And then I really like where I got Evan Ingram there in the 6th round. I think that's really good value for him, especially if he can continue to produce like he did last year. 80 catches is not out of the realm of possibility. And for a tight end, that's huge.
Yeah, especially in this league with being tight end premium. So,
yeah, other than that, I did get the 1 homer pick late with Young Ho Koo, my favorite kicker in the league. And then I think I got a really good value there, though, also with Sam Laporta there in end of the 11th round, getting another solid starting tight end who could see a lot of action in that offense.
Rookie tight ends it's tough. Very few of them are, come out like Pitts. What happened with your second quarterback?
Kind of forgot about him.
Yeah, we were hoping Baker beats out Trask, which, he should. If he doesn't deserve to be in the NFL, I don't think so.
Well, at that point, I don't know if I'd want it. I'd be better off playing something else in that spot at that point.
Yeah, throwing one of these tight ends you got in there or something.
Yeah, because I still like Schultz and as well. He could see a lot of work just because tight ends are generally rookies' best friend, so he could see a lot of targets, and especially where he might be one of the only focal points in that offense.
Yeah, we're going to find out if it was just the Cowboys system or if he's really a good tight end. We're going to find that out this year. And then, let's see, Andy started with Lawrence, Taylor, Chubb, and then
technical difficulties happened.
Yeah.
I totally missed out on this pick right here that gave me Breece Hall. I was looking at a receiver or another quarterback at this point, but by the time I got back on, I already had Breece Hall. So really from here is where I kind of had to play catch up in a way to for
Yeah,
my
starting
draft.
with the 3 running backs. Yeah, you kind of catch up the rest of the positions. I did quite well though with Ridley.
Yeah, I did. I got him
Honestly,
to go
he has a
with
chance
Lawrence.
of being a wide receiver 1. So,
He's with Lawrence too. I got Lawrence with him.
yep, that's a nice stack to have actually.
Terry McLaurin. That's my homer pick.
Yeah, and that's all that man does is he makes catches no matter who the quarterback is. So I think he'll be solid because he's the best option. Although I do like with Dotson and such, I think they've got some other pieces. They just need to really put it together this year.
Yeah, well, they got my 3rd quarterback thrown to him with Sam Howell, so I like their chances. We got Andy had Bryce Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young there I just took because if you look, before that, a lot of quarterbacks already left.
Yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot left on the
I
board.
grabbed one while I could. So it was between him and Pickett, really, between the 2 that I wanted. It was really a coin flip there.
And then you stole Jamison Williams from me.
Like I said, I'm playing catch up after that technical difficulty, and out of those, I think he's probably been my best option out of those.
After those 6 weeks, man, people are gonna see what he is. There's a reason he was picked as high as he was.
But I mean, still a lot of good work though in there with the running backs. A lot to work with. So
Yeah.
all right,
That was a weird noise.
under your team here. So
All right. So, well, yeah. We'll go through tight end real quick. You got Cole Kmet, and then you got my sleeper tight end, Herb Smith.
Yeah.
You robbed me quite a few times in there.
I got robbed a lot. So I had to get everybody back in a way if I could.
Yeah. I started off with Jamar Chase and CMC, and then I took Dak. And when it came back to me, there was Anthony Richardson, who's I'm super high on this year. So I ended up taking my 2nd quarterback right away. And then somehow Pitts was still there. Tight end premium. I'm liking Kyle Pitts.
yeah, I'm hoping again, new better quarterback. They
The
can throw
talent's
ball.
there. There's
Yeah.
no doubt the talent's there.
He's a mismatch on the field, so
So,
you
they can move
can't
him
cover him with
everywhere.
a DB. You have to double cover him.
Yeah.
So
I love Kyle Pitts. I hope he works out.
yeah, and I like the Madison pick too. Good pick there.
Yeah, I think I got a lot of value in the 8th with Madison. And I like Pierce and Swift. Give me, some depth at running back. Along with Jalen Warren as my sleeper kind of pick later. Receiver, I got Jamar, but then I've got Michael Pittman to give me that stack with Richardson. And then I've got Juju and Alan Lazard and Rashee Rice from the Chiefs. And we'll see how it goes. Receiver's not nearly as deep for me. And the fact you have to play 3 of them could come back to bite me a little bit here. Tight end, Pitts, obviously, and then Higbee and Ertz. None of us really did much with the kicker position, but just to give you an example, Tucker went in the 9th round, Justin Tucker. That was the first kicker to go. And then Harrison Butker went in the 12th, along with Evan McPherson, and then kickers started kind of going off the board.
Yeah, the one guy
that
took
is
3
not me.
kickers 3 rounds in a row.
Yep. But, you can start 4 kickers, and there will be times where they're very flex worthy. They're going to score more than some of your starting running backs and receivers at times. 3.3 for extra points is a lot. So, yeah, overall, it was really a lot of fun drafting with these guys. Again, you can check them all out. They're on our Twitter page. Go give them all a follow and check out their work. Most of them have either podcasts or write articles, do work for bigger sites. So, yeah, check them out for sure. We're going to get into our top 15 Dynasty running backs. And we have quite a few differences here.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do.
We're just going to give you our we'll start at number 1. We're going to give our top 5, and then we'll kind of discuss them a little bit. So, Andy, if you want to give us your top 5.
All right. My top 5 at number 1 would be Jonathan Taylor. Number 2, Bijan Robinson. Number 3, Breece Hall. Number 4, Saquon Barkley. And 5, Josh Jacobs.
All right, cool.
All right. So number 1, I got Bijan. 2, I got CMC. 3, I got Jonathan Taylor. 4, I got Kenneth Walker. And 5, I got Travis Etienne.
All right, and my list, I've got Bijan at 1, Breece Hall at 2, CMC at 3, 4 is Eckler, and 5 was Saquon Barkley. We got some pretty big differences going on here. I'll just go with Andy's number 1 first.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor. I'm high on this guy. Like, I'm super high. Now that he doesn't have Matt Ryan there, like, I'm not a big fan of Matt Ryan. So, like, fantasy-wise, I do not like having running backs for that team. That's just me personally.
Yep.
So, now that he's gone, and then with that rookie there, I mean, they drafted him with the intentions of him being long-term. So, maybe they don't run with him right away, you know?
I'll take the counter on Taylor because I've got him down at 8. Rookie quarterbacks aren't great for running backs, and running quarterbacks aren't great for running backs, and they've got both with Anthony Richardson. So, I mean, I love the quarterback. I'm worried about Jonathan Taylor in that offense. So, he is a stud. I mean, he's proven to be a stud when he's on the field, but I worry. So that's why I've got him down at 8.
I have him up at 3 just because I think with where Shane Steichen is coming in, what he did in Philly, you're going to see a lot of that. But I think he'll take it slow with Richardson just to allow him that year or so to develop. So I think you're going to see a lot of run heavy. And I think this year, especially in the next couple of years, you could see a lot of heavy workload for Taylor. But beyond that, then might get iffy after 2 or 3 years. But at the start, I just really think you're going to see a really heavy workload with Taylor just trying to ease the stress on the young quarterback. So
another big difference here is looks like, Coop, you've got Walker at 4, whereas Andy and I have him at 9 and 10 respectively. Thoughts on Walker?
I'm still a big fan of the kid. I like his explosive ability. And that offense is just going to be much better. I think second year where they added the weapons on the outside with JSN and such. Yeah, they added Charbonnet, but I see it being Walker's job to lose because, again, he already knows the offense. He already has that year in. Charbonnet still has to come in and get acclimated. Plus, he is a little bit on the smaller side, so it's a little harder for him to maintain those blocking. So that's where I think Walker will stay in a little bit more, and you'll see not as much of Charbonnet at least.
So why do you have Walker down there at 9, Andy?
Well, I mean, I got nothing against him. I like him. I just like the guys I have in front of him a little better.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I mean, the Charbonnet pick does kind of worry me a little bit. They spent decent draft capital, I think a second on Charbonnet. So, and Pete Carroll kind of mixes things up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's young. He's good running back. So the other major difference, and this kind of just goes towards, I guess, my philosophy on drafting running backs in Dynasty, but I've got Eckler up at 4. You guys have him down towards the bottom of your lists. And with Eckler and with running backs in general in Dynasty, if I'm going to take a running back, I'm going to be trying to win right away. Hard to build with running backs because their careers just don't last long enough. You can't count on them 5 years down the road. So that I put Eckler up that high. He's been top 2 the last 2 years in points per game. He's probably got at least a couple more years left in him. And if you're looking beyond 2 years with running backs, you're probably looking too far down the road. That's where I'm at on Eckler. You guys?
I'm more of the age process. Like, my list consists of me starting brand spanking new. And overall, I don't want to be looking into next year or the year after that. I got to get 2 running backs in the draft. You know? Like, I want to be at least smooth with it. So I want at least younger running backs that are going to develop. It's, they just get better. Like with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, outside of his injury last year, I think he'll be better, a lot better this year. So,
yeah, I'm kind of on that same thing. Plus, with the issues with the contract that he's already trying to get, like a new deal and such, and just trying to get that, it just doesn't sit right with me. Like, okay, is there something wrong and he knows it? Granted, I doubt if that's the case. I mean, running back's just trying to get paid.
Yeah, it's that running back market. They know that every day that passes, their value goes down, and they got to get that contract yesterday, or they're not getting paid.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd like to have him as my, maybe my number 2 running back if possible, but I'd rather have somebody else at a number one. Just the age. The age is really the thing.
Yeah.
It's really that gets me.
Yep. And I've kind of coming around on the philosophy that I look at running back as a win now position. And if I'm going to build for later, I'm just going to not have running backs then. I'm in a dynasty league with this guy, and he finished right down towards the bottom last year, but his team is stacked. He's got Justin Fields. He's got Devontae Smith. He's got a bunch of good receivers, Olave. He's got good tight ends. He has no running backs. So he's able to get good picks while filling up on positions that he knows 3 years down the road are probably still going to be there. And he can get his running backs now, because he's got those higher picks still. So I kind of like that strategy. I see where he's coming from with it. We'll go on our 6 through 10. If you want to start us off there, Coop.
All right. 6, I got Saquon. 7, Brees. 8, Jameer. 9, Damian Pierce. And 10, Tony Pollard.
All right, Andy.
This is where I have Nick Chubb. I have Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Kenneth Walker, and Ramondre Stevenson.
All right. And my 6 through 10 I've got Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, and Kenneth Walker at 10. So, again, we got some pretty big differences. We didn't talk about this guy in the top 5, so we'll talk about Josh Jacobs. Andy's got him at 5. I got him at 6. Steve's got him down all the way at the bottom of this top 15. What are your feelings on Jacobs there, Steve?
To me, he seemed like that contract year player. He gets that one big year, and then that's it. Yeah, he was solid in years before. Yeah, he's produced, but he had that really good breakout year, but I haven't really seen that any other year. And now going in with that offense, I just really don't like the Raiders offense either. Now, he's going to get the workload and such, but I just really hate that Raiders offense now.
Is it Jimmy G or Tom Brady? I'm not sure who the quarterback's going to be.
We'll see how many legs Jimmy G has when he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see with Jimmy G. My opinion on Jacobs is, and I'm ignoring the contract stuff, I can't see these guys passing up all that money. They're going to eventually sign and play for their franchise tag. And when he does, the Raiders are just going to use him until he breaks. I mean, they're going to give him the ball and throw him the ball, and he's going to be their offense, him and Devontae Adams, without Waller there. So,
well, you still got Renfro, too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, Renfro. Jacobs is going to get a lot of work, in my opinion. Andy?
No, I totally agree with what you said there. Like, he was a beast last year. They fed him the ball, he produced. And I don't see anything really changing. Now, no quarterback, might as well hand the ball off while you can.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to stick with picking on Coop here. And I don't know if he just forgot him, or I don't see Nick Chubb on your list.
He's just, to me, he's at that age, and he's had so many carries. I mean, I'm just getting worried about him durability-wise because, he's 28 now?
Just about, I think 27 and a half, yeah.
27, he'll be 28 when the season starts or thereabouts.
Yep.
So it's just, he's getting up there. He's had a lot of carries, and he's taken a lot of hits. And at some point, you're going to start slowing down, and especially, again, as a dynasty, it's more of a win now thing if you're taking him. So if you're planning on winning now, yeah. But I'm looking at starting the dynasty. I want the running long term. Mm-hmm. I'm looking long term, that long game where, okay, I want these running backs in 2 or 3 years when I've also got my other positions filled. That's when I want these guys coming in. To where if you're getting Chubb, okay, that means you've already built around it. I just think he's a really hard starter piece with his age.
Mm-hmm. Andy?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I started.
Yeah, Andy's got him at 6. I got him at 7. For me, for just pure running back, I love watching Nick Chubb. He's such a good running back.
It's hard.
Yeah, if he gets that Kareem Hunt passing workload that he doesn't normally get, he's not ever up in the double digit for target share. Yeah. If he gets anywhere near that 9-10% target share, he could have an explosive season.
Yeah. Now, if we're talking redraft, he'd be obviously way up there. But again, I'm looking at this more dynasty as a long-term solution. So again, with just his age and how many carries he's had, just seems like he's it's there, but I hope he proves me wrong. He's still a stud, though. I like the guy. But it's just one of those things I just think he's going to hit that wall here soon, and it's going to be time for them to do something else.
And I have Etienne and Walker both just a little bit below you guys. Etienne at 9, where Andy has him at 7, and you have him at 5. And then I have Walker at 10, Andy at 9, and you at 4. And I think it just kind of probably comes down to I have a few more older running backs ahead of them that push them down the board a little bit, just down to philosophy of how roster building, I guess, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll go down to our 11 through 15. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I've got Gibbs at 11, Tony Pollard, J.K. Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson, and Najee Harris. Cool.
Yeah. So at 11, I got Ramondre. 12 here, I got Javonte Williams. Then I got J.K. Dobbins. Then I've got Austin Eckler. And then 15 there, I got Josh Jacobs.
And Andy.
That's where I got Gibbs, and this is where I have Christian McCaffrey, and then Eckler after that. And then I have Dobbins and Damian Pierce.
All right, so let's talk about Christian McCaffrey. I've got him up at 3. Coop's got him at 2. You got him down at 12.
It's the age thing. I'm looking for the future. Like I said, I don't want to be every draft looking for a running back every time. I want to at least have, like I said, one good one. Well, don't get me wrong, he's good. It's just the age thing. I wouldn't be mad again, like I said, if he's like my second running back on my team that I could start every year.
Yeah. And I've got him up at 3. It's not like I'm going to, in a dynasty startup, I'm obviously not going to run out and draft him super high.
Yeah.
I'm probably starting a dynasty up with the 0 running back approach. But you can only let him fall so far, even in a startup. So
Before the value is just too good.
You got to just adjust, take him, and try to win a couple championships while everybody else is building for the future. So,
yeah, and again, he's just always been productive. That's what he does. He puts up numbers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, when he's healthy.
As he's healthy, that man will he puts up numbers. That's what he does. And especially now with Kyle Shanahan, I think he's going to put up absurd numbers in that offense. I don't care who the quarterback is, as long as they do what Shanahan says.
Mm-hmm. Tony Pollard. So Coop had him up at 10. I've got him at 12. And he's missing from Andy's list.
Yeah. He would have been right there at number 16 if I could put a 16. But I couldn't, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this running back list was not easy to make.
No, there's a lot of good players. Yes. And I think Pollard really burst onto the scene last year and just showed that if you give him the rock, he can do it, especially when Zeke was gone. Man, he had some really good runs.
He did. I worry about his pass pro. He's not the greatest pass protection guy. He gets Dak hit. I still think they probably bring Zeke back.
Just for the pass protection.
Pass pro a little bit and goal line work. So for now, though, I mean, without Zeke being there, Pollard's going to get almost all the work because Ronald Jones isn't going to amount to much. So
I mean, they're about the same size, so that's where it's like, okay, I still think they need that big back, but we'll see what Jerry does. I'm assuming with you, though, I think Zeke is going to be back there as that second back, though he won't be that featured back, so he's not going to have that massive contract. He's going to need something that's like a vet minimum.
He's 2 to 3 couple million maybe. Yeah, he's coming back for a small contract if he comes back, and that'll just be because his best friend's Dak. So another guy we have pretty different here. It looks like Andy has Najee at 8. I've got him at 15. He is not on your list, Coop.
That's just I just really not digging that Pittsburgh offense. I really hope he's good. I really do because he's still pretty young and hasn't had a lot of hits. He had a little bit of injury problems last year, which was a little worrisome, seemed to nag. But hopefully he's just staying healthy.
His efficiency is worrisome. Like under 4 yards a carry, and Jalen Warren ran behind the same line and looked great when he got his chances. So.
I think, though, it was more the offense knew more of when Najee was in, though there was a better chance of them running than when Warren was in. But I think that might change a little bit now with the offseason. So, and I would have liked to maybe seen a little bit 2 more man backfield with both of them and maybe allow them to be like, hey, play off of that. But we'll see. But he's just so there seems like they've got so much that they're trying to feed now, also now with Pickens, and they're really trying to pick up that passing game with Pickett and that. So that's where he just worries me a little bit.
Andy, you seem to be pretty high on Najee.
Yeah, I mean, you got Mike Tomlin as the coach there. I mean, think of the other running backs they had before that. Jerome Bettis, Le'Veon Bell, James Conner. All of them did great underneath him. I don't see really him to be declining. Last year they had the new quarterback and the new receiver. Why not highlight it and sell seats?
Yep.
You know?
I mean, he's on my list just basically because of what you said, because of that offense and the way they use their running backs. I personally kind of hope Jalen Warren might take that over, but I mean, if Najee's the one's getting the work, he's going to be a top 15 running back. So I also almost wanted to put Derrick Henry on my list somewhere. I know he's a bit older, but if you're in a win now situation, if you want to build a win now team, grab Derrick Henry. He's still got another year left at least of just running over people and making them look foolish. So.
Yeah, again, if you're in a redraft, these rankings look completely different.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Derrick Henry is still a stud. I mean, geez, that dude just runs over and runs angry at everything. So
yeah, and the other one was, I guess, was Pierce, Damian Pierce. Andy has him at 15. Steve has him up at 9, and he did not make my list. Just for me, it's the lack of draft capital. They didn't really spend to get him. I think he's going to be easily replaced. You might get this year out of him, but unless he really shows out, I don't know that he'll even be the starter next year.
Yeah, I like him just because I think he's going to continue, and I think he showed last year that he is pretty good. And now that they do have an improved quarterback situation, and hopefully they can build around it, I think he'll still be the workhorse. So I think he's going to get a lot of carries, and he will get stuff out of the backfield, and he can still take it to the house. So I just think there's a lot of upside in that offense for him, and he's going to get the volume over the next 2 to 3 years. So
yeah, I totally agree. Like, he's got to be on my list. I mean, yeah, they got the new quarterback, but they lost Brandon Cooks. That's going to kind of hurt him a little bit, on the offensive side. And overall, like, he's young. Like I said, he did really well last year. I don't see him really declining any, drastically wise.
All right. Well, hey, this was a fun episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was actually it's probably my favorite one so far.
Make sure you check us out again. We're on Twitter at Smokers Haven at 605 Token Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, just Smokers Haven Fantasy Football. You can find that podcast pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple's, Amazon, all those different places. Next time, I think we're going to do our top. We're going to do top 15 receivers or top 20.
Let's do 20. Let's do 20.
There's so many receivers, you almost need a little deeper list. All right, we're going to do a top 20 receiver list for Dynasty next week.
Then we can also maybe look at alternate draft strategies and maybe going over some of those as well with the zero running back, the hero running back, depending on what kind of league you're in and where you're at for draft position. So.
Absolutely. We can maybe go over a little super flex versus single quarterback. Actually, somebody had brought up an interesting point I'd never really considered between super flex and single quarterback that we'll get into. So, yeah, check back with them next week. Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
Stay high.
Always.